Right, it's the day of the MOT this morning, so this will be the first ride of the bike. I've got to ride it to the MOT station. I don't know what the sound quality is going to be like. I don't know how the bike's going to run. This is obviously his first run, so we'll give it a run today, taking it into work, and hopefully pass an MOT. Okay, here we go. Looks like the back front brake might be hanging up a little bit. Hopefully that will get a bit better with use. Unfortunately, I've got to take some routes through the Crawley industrial estate because there's been some quite heavy flooding around here recently. And I don't really fancy like riding this thing through floodwater. What's more, I can't even find my bloody motorbike boots. I've got a pair of trainers on, which is really a no-no. But this will be, obviously, this is the first run I've had on the bike. Just trying to set the mirrors right and things. Everything seems okay at the moment. So the plan is to dropping down towards the Duke's Head roundabout, and then I'm going to go left along the Cotswold Link Road, down the dual carriageway, through the industrial estate, and up to Lowfield Heath. I don't know if anyone knows that area. But once the bike's warmed up, I'll sort of run through a couple of things to see what I mean, it all seems running perfectly fine at the moment. It's smooth. It's actually smoother than I remember it, but of course it's only revving at 3,000 revs at the moment. Not sure about this fuel gauge. Got a funny feeling that sender might not be working. The DECPOM said that he thought the sensor probably wasn't working. I've only got about 5 litres of fuel in here, so it might not be enough to register, but I would have thought it should be off the bottom mark. Okay. It's quite a cold morning actually. It's a long time since I've ridden in this weather. I'm a fair weather biker, but I just want to get this bike sort of sorted out sort of thing. So, and the front brakes don't feel particularly nice actually, but these brakes on these bikes are never that good. The Honda Blackbird brakes are much sharper, got much more bite. I've just got to watch out the brake isn't actually sort of binding right up. It doesn't feel like it is at the moment. I have had to sort of push the pistons back and clean them, so it should be okay. It doesn't feel like it's binding up. That's why I keep pulling the clutch in just to see if it feels like it's hanging up, but it doesn't seem to be. So yeah, the engine seems to be running nicely. It's starting to come up to temperature now. Should be up to temperature by the time we get to the dual carriageway. Feels nice on the road. Obviously it's a low mileage bike, so it's not going to feel particularly ropey. Riding position on the Blackbird, it's different. It is different actually. The Blackbird is more of a stretch. I always remember the chap who owned this bike saying when he read the Blackbird he felt like he had to stretch further, and he's right. This is more of a squat position. The bars are probably about the same height, but you don't have to reach so far across the tank. It's almost like the tank's smaller. But it's comfortable actually. It's actually probably a slightly nicer riding position than the Blackbird because you haven't got that big stretch over the handlebars. But it's one of those things that, you know, I've only ridden it, the last time I rode this bike was 20 years ago. And I came off a 600 Yamaha Phaser, and when I got on this it felt like a real bloody beast. Bit intimidating. I'm riding it now and it feels nice. It doesn't feel intimidating at all. it's, you know, pootling along here, no problem at all. It doesn't feel like it's an aggressive engine. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't feel like it's unpleasant at all. I've just started to increase the revs a little bit now, and I see this 3,500 revs. I've got quite a zing to the seat, quite a lot of vibration now. Now that's normal for these bikes, but the Blackbird, and I'm just comparing it with the Blackbird, you know, because that's the best comparison I've got, is smooth, super smooth at these speeds. But the Blackbird has got double balancer shaft and things like that. So, you know, and of course it's a bigger displacement engine as well, so that will make a difference. I don't think there's a problem with the brakes. If the roads were dry, I'd sort of give them a bit of sharp application to try and free them up, but obviously it's not. And what I'll probably do on the way home, when it passes, if it passes an MOT of course, is fill the tank right up and see if we can get this gauge to come off the stop, because otherwise we're going to take the tank off again and have a look at that fuel sender. But it looked okay. I mean, when I put it back together, let's put the bloody that thing around 180 degrees and it's jammed up at the side of the tank. I'm pretty sure it hadn't. It all seemed okay. Of course, the other thing to do is stand the tank up, and hopefully if the float sinks to the bottom, or rises to the top, should I say, we'll see that indeed the float sensor is okay. But let's get one thing at a time. Let's get it through an MOT first before we get too carried away with other little things. Yes, the engine hasn't quite come up to temperature yet. It is cold. And that will be another thing we need to do. We need to change the coolant and just sort of go through it. See, the brakes feel a bit better now. They feel like I just passed my test riding this thing. It's funny, isn't it, when you get on a bike you're not used to. You get on any of the other bikes and ride them, it all feels super, you know, it's like pedaling on an old pair of shoes. But this feels, you know, a little bit odd. Just crossing the M23 now, which has been converted to another one of those bloody smart motorways. Yeah, the brakes are okay actually. They're not hanging up. They might be hanging up a little bit. Yeah, they are hanging up a bit actually. Hopefully when it goes to the MOT he'll let me through on that. But I think I'm gonna have to strip the front brake calipers down. What I could do when I get to work is see which disc is hot, because it's obviously twin disc on the front. We could just have a look, see which disc is warm, and that will tell you which brake's hanging up. But they're pigs, these brakes on these. They're sort of like, you can't push the pistons out without splitting the caliper. My mirrors are all steamed up, so I'm having a job seeing what's behind me. Build a few revs. I feel the power of the engine now, it's really strong. Let it rev a bit, get the exhaust temperature up a bit. Should start to see the coolant come up to normal now, hopefully. This is where we can start to run into all the traffic that goes into the industrial estate this time of morning. Hopefully it won't be too bad. My normal route to work, so not really knowing what to expect traffic wise. Roads are drying out here a bit, so I can afford at the minute to give it a little bit of throttle to see how it responds. I'm coming through the industrial estate, so I'm going all the way around this roundabout and into the Manor Royal. So far so good. Apart from possibly that front brake, everything seems to be fine. Engine's running lovely. Considering that fuel was sitting in there for like 11 years, obviously it hadn't got into the fuel pump, caused any problem. I have got fuel injector cleaner in the tank actually, quite a strong mix of fuel injector cleaner, of a fuel system cleaner, hopefully to remove any varnish or anything that was built up in the back of the injectors, or inside the injectors or pump, that sort of thing. But I don't think it really needed that. Tyres feel okay as well. A bit cautious of tyres that have been sitting around for that length of time, especially on cold, sort of greasy roads like these are. That's the normal position of the temperature gauge on this, but it's just below normal. Ooh, fluffed that one. Clutch is a bit getting used to on this. The clutch bite's very late actually on this, very a long way out. Not sure why, probably just the way they are. But I haven't changed the clutch fluid. Maybe there's a bit of an air bubble in there, but I would have thought that would make the pedal feel spongy, which it doesn't. It feels fine. So looks like it's going to be a nice day today. It should be a change. I was planning on taking this bike in for an MOT yesterday, but they said there's going to be a few showers overnight, and the roads were awash. You know, I could have coped with a couple of showers, but not when they're underwater. There is one part coming up in a minute when I start to sort of go down the road where I work, which is Lowfield Heath Road, which is going to be underwater, so I have to be a bit careful there. Let's see what this does. Give it a little bit of throttle. Yeah. You can feel it's a very strong engine. It's got definitely got more mid ranges than the Blackbird. I mean, that's opening up quarter throttle. That really is. I'm not going to open it up hard. It's been sitting around for too long. I'm not sure about the tyres, the roads are wet and cold. I don't want to throw the bike down the road before I've even MOT'd it. That wouldn't go down very well, especially with all you lot watching. Okay. Race. Mitsubishi Evo front. It's alright, I won't be racing it. God, it stinks. Obviously no catalytic converter, running very rich. Yeah, those brakes are hanging. I can feel the way it turns into corners. When the front brake's binding, the bike tries to sit up on corners. It's not bad, and it might get better, but I think it's going to be a brake rebuild. It's not the end of the world. I can't take them apart without getting the O-rings in stock first. You know, I've got to get the O-rings in. So when they're in now, and as I say, for these brakes binding up. Well, we're coming up to the part where it has been flooding. You probably can't see this very well, but you see me getting the one out in the middle of the road. That's why, yeah, I can see a car just gone through it. It looks pretty deep. Well, not pretty deep, but it's certainly standing out halfway across the road. Yeah, here it comes. Yeah, it's quite deep, so I'm slowing down. I think I'm going to go round it as slowly as possible. I don't want to splash everything up. There we go. That's the worst of it. Got nothing behind me, so I'm not too worried. Got one nice clean bike all dirty already. First time it goes out in 11 years, it gets covered in shit. engine bikes as well is because they chuck out so much heat. It's actually quite warm on the bike. I mean, I have got my thermals on and things, but I'm certainly not cold. Check, I've got my bloody headlamps on actually. Yeah, I have got my headlamps on. I suddenly thought I just had my side lights on. No, I've got my headlamps on. This is always a cold spot here. This is the, if it's going to become foggy, this is the place it always becomes foggy. This is the end of the runway at Gatwick. Yeah, as if you can't see right, obviously, but to my right we've got the airport and the end of the runway. Well, for a first ride that seems fine. It certainly runs nicely. Possibly, as I say, the front brakes need looking at just for peace of mind. Everything else absolutely fine. So let's get it through an MOT, and then I think we'll basically finish these videos and go back to some stuff in the workshop. Turning into work now. I hope you enjoyed that ride in with me to work this morning, and more to come. And actually I didn't have my headlamps on, I just turned them on now. That's good.